possible remainders can I have? Either the number is even, and if you divide it by 2, it should divide evenly, no remainder, or the number is odd, and if you divide by 2, you'll have a remainder of what? In unison, everybody, I should have a remainder of 1. If you were unsure of that, you could even just see that in the comments, 0 or 1. So when people are taking a random number and they want to put it into a range of numbers, you can use modulus. If I wanted 0, 1, or 2, I can say modulus 3. Because either it'll divide by 3 evenly, returning a 0 for remainder, a 1 for remainder, or a 2 for remainder. So modulus, it's just the percent sign. You can get it by pressing Shift 5. Anyway, in this other set of for loops, I'm printing out that grid. And again, I'm doing Y first. Computers like to display text from left to right. That's how we read, correct? So I thought, might as well print all those left and right values, and go to the next line, go to the next line, print all those left and right values. Now, when you're trying to find the longest line, doing Y the next is a good way to do it for looking for the horizontal answer. So it's going to generate, it's going to read through all those X values together, then go to the next line. Cool. But you could also, inside of here, you could look for every X and Y value at the same time. Be a pain. It's easier to do it in separate loops. So if this is my printout, and this is me generating, I'm going to make 2 loops. The first one will be find the longest horizontal line. And I'll do another one that will find the longest vertical line. Okay? So just like before, I can use the same for loop. Right? I'm just going to change what happens inside of it. I need something inside to change. So it's going to start with the first row, or the first row, run through all those horizontal values, run through all the columns, go to the next row, run through all the columns, go to the next row, run through all the columns. For every time this for loop executes, the inner for loop executes 12 times. How long does the outer for loop execute, you guys? 12 times. They're both going from 0 to board size. Board size is what? 12. Man, everyone's quiet today. So this is going from 0 to 12, and this is going from 0 to 12. If I put in something like, let's do this real quick. Quick example. At this point, right here, what is the value of count at this point in code? 1. No. I'm outside both these for loops, which means the inner for loop must have run how many times? And the outer for loop must have run how many times? 12. For every single execution this goes through, how many executions does this one go through? 12 times 12. So count should be 144. Right? Because it gets to this code 12 times per Y, and Y runs 12 times. We didn't have the outer for loop. What would the value of count be? 12, you guys. Without the outer for loop, it's just 12. But when you have a loop inside of a loop, it's multiplicative. Right? Outer loops times inner loops.
That's 100. 12 times 12 is 144?
Yep.
Right.
Right? If I'm wrong, I talk a lot in this class. I'm sure every now and then I say something wrong by mistake. Absolutely call me out on it if I was doing my math wrong. So count will go up 144 times. That's how many times this is going to happen. Now let's get back to what this code is supposed to be doing, which is find the longest horizontal line. I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to call that variable int max line. I'm going to set it to 0. If I don't find any zeros at all in my entire thing, then the max line should be 0. There were no zeros. This is a good starting value. If I ever find a line bigger than 0, that will be the new line. Now, since I'm only doing this by horizontals, I can reset my count every time I get to a new row, which is great, because I don't want my horizontal counts to continue over from one row to the next. Right? I'm looking for them all in one row together. So I'm going to declare a variable and set it to 0. The variable is going to happen. It's going to get declared 12 times. I say, if the value stored as these x, y coordinates is 0, count up. I can sit and say, else, which will take into account any time it's not a 0, right? If its value is anything but this, I should find out if this line is my new maximum. If it counts greater than the max line is this counts. This is the big one. And no matter what, I got to reset the count. Which I have to do it here, because if I'm already resetting my count within the row, I'm going to want to count the next zeros I find in that row. I'm resetting my count when I go to a new row, but there's a bunch of zeros in the same spot, in the same horizontal line, right? Which I guess I should move this up so it's easier to see. Right, if we look at those zeros in the top left, it would count up to 4. Find a 1, reset the count now. Don't wait for the next row. Reset the count now so we can count those other zeros in there. So we found 1 0, we found 1 0, we found 4 zeros. When it gets to the next row, it's going to say I found 1 0, then I found 2 zeros, then 1 0, then 1 0. I need to reset every time I hit a 1. So every time it's not a 0, reset the count. But before that, if it was bigger than the current maximum, store it. And I'm just going to find the longest vertical. The code's going to look really similar, so I'll just copy and paste this over. This time, instead of the outer loop being y and the inner loop being x, I can make the inner loop x, or sorry, the outer loop x and the inner loop y. Oh my goodness. So now as it goes through x, y positions, it's going to start at x is 0, then go through all the y values. This would count horizontal, or sorry, vertical. Jesus Christ. Then again, I'm going to do a count. It's greater than the max. Reset it. And lastly, I'll print it out. Longest line was max line. Ooh, we got a big one this time. It says the longest line was 8. Who can find it? Probably that one at the bottom, huh? Okay. So in this case, the longest line was horizontal. I want everyone to have working longest line applications. Anyone have any questions about this solution? I know you guys are quiet today, but if you're confused, you better say something. Okay.
Vertical.
Does everyone have? Raise your hand if you have a working longest line counter right now. I see like four hands? Okay. Let's make sure everyone else gets to that point. So again, just nested for loops. For every y value, count all the x's. Y will increase. Count all the x's. Let's show it on just like a smaller scale real quick. I'm going to set my board size to 4. Something we can all count easily.